I was born in Corvallis, Oregon. My first 18 years of life, I lived in 16 homes. My dad was one of the hardest working, most positive people in the world. It was nothing more than a lack of financial education. And because of that lack, we moved in lots of homes. I knew at a young age, I didn't want to live like that. I didn't want my kids to live like that. My name is Robby Fender, and this is my story. Growing up in a lower to middle class family, not having money, there would be things that would come up in my life that I wanted. I wanted a BMX bike, and the bike I wanted wasn't cheap, it was expensive. So I grabbed our lawnmower and I went knocking on doors. Here's the interesting fact. I have serious allergies and hay fever, but I wanted the bike so bad that I would just literally mow through it. My eyes were shut, I could barely breathe. My mom was like, man, you're gonna kill yourself just to get that BMX bike. So I guess bottom line, I've had that entrepreneurial spirit within me forever. Another thing that did it, I was working for a manufacturing company, building computers and stuff. I was working 80+ hours a week. I wasn't seeing my family, I wasn't seeing my kids, and I thought that's what you needed to do to make money. And I remember just praying that, come on God, there's gotta be a better way. What I figured out as I was starting to study money and I was starting to study the different aspects of life is the most valuable commodity on this planet is time. We only have so much of it, and there's not one person on this planet that knows how much they have left. We don't. If time's the most valuable commodity, then I need the money so I can own my time. So then I had to look at, okay, it's not so much about how much wealth one has, it's about how much passive residual income, how much income's flowing into their life to cover their cost of living and their overhead. If I can create enough of that money to cover my total expenses, I own my time. I have my life. Now I get to focus on what's important to me. When money's not an issue, it gives you the ability to focus on what's important for you. I gotta take you back to 2008. And I don't know if you remember 2008, it probably wasn't the hottest times for the economy here. And I'm sitting with my wife and I'm kind of just talking to her about what the perfect company would look like. And I gave her this laundry list of all the things I'd like to see in a company. And she says to me, well then, do something about it. And at first, when she first did that, I was like, hey. And then I was like, hey, yeah. And she did, she's the spark. She got it clicking in my head. And I couldn't sleep. I mean, I was up all night long, every night going, yeah, what if? I knew at this time in my life, I built enough companies, some failed miserably, some did well, that I realized I needed to pick partners that I already knew. And they had to be individuals that have already accomplished some level of success in their life. And I knew if we were gonna do this, I wanted to remain private, which meant we had to self-fund it, which meant we were gonna have to write really big checks. And I'm asking them to do this in 2008, 2009. This isn't a fun time to write really big checks, but I had learned that when you do a partnership, if they all have a lot of skin in the game, you're gonna fight like a mad dog to see it be successful. So that's what we did. They all said yes, we all came together, and that's how we ended up, starting Yoli. My why was my wife and my 3 children. I wanted to be a good dad. I wanted to provide for them. I wanted to make sure they had shelter. I wanted to make sure they had food. I didn't want them to live in 16 homes. The great news is all those things that I wanted for them became a reality. Your whys change, and one of the big things that hit me hard was back in April of 2013, I lost my dad. My dad was around at the early days of starting of Yoli, so he was a part of that, but even though he was battling it. And then through the middle of Yoli, my father died from cancer. And when that took place, there's, oh, sorry, I don't want to get emotional. So when I lost my dad, it really hit me hard on our mission at Yoli. It's not just about having some health and wellness products. We're giving people more time to be with those they love. Again, we put a lot of energy and a lot of time building what we felt was this beautiful ship. We launched out in Las Vegas. There was over 1,500 people there. Felt like an incredible launch. We had about 5,000 people, customers and members come on board, and it felt amazing. And we put this beautiful ship in the water. And the minute it hit the water, it had holes all over it. I mean, everywhere. In fact, we launched And then it kind of looked like this from the beginning of launch. And it was pretty consistent, meaning the boat was gonna sink. It was filling up with water quite quickly. When all of a sudden it doesn't go so hot, it doesn't go so well, and things look like they're falling apart, and you and your partners have invested millions of dollars, how do you stay positive? My wife and I have a special chemistry, and I remember getting up in the middle of the night and I looked at her and I said, I need you right now. And she sat there for a little bit, gave me a hug, and she just said, I always believe in you. And she says, and there's nobody that can stop you. And that's what did it, that belief. And that's why I'm such a big believer that sometimes we have to put our belief in other people. Through the struggles and through the tough times, you have to stretch, you know what I mean? You gotta learn, you gotta adapt. And that's when we started to put together the products that you have in Yoli today. We've got these products that are these proprietary blends. We've trademarked them, such as Alkali, Pure Away, all these different ingredients. Bottom line, we've created these incredible products that make a huge difference in one's life. I'm so grateful that I get to be here. I'm grateful that we have the incredible staff that we do at Yoli, all of our leaders, and most important, I'm grateful for all our customers, because without them, we wouldn't have a company. As the CEO of the company, it's important for me to make sure I cast the right vision, right? And make sure that we stay focused. We want to transform lives physically, emotionally, and financially. As it started with 30 people, that then bloomed into hundreds, which bloomed into thousands, which one day is going to transform into millions.